As you learn about the narcissistic pattern, it's also wise to reflect on the much healthier alternatives. Now, below you're going to find a link to my new extensive course called Ready, Set, Connect. It addresses both the mindset and the skills involved in gratifying relationships, and I hope you'll find it to be quite therapeutic. There's one issue that most narcissists have a great deal of difficulty coming to terms with in any kind of balanced way, and that's the issue of your sense of morality. When we talk about morality, we talk about having a sense of right versus wrong. We're talking about being grounded in a well-conceived system of values. We're talking about having a social discernment about what makes sense and what does not make sense for the greater good. And so when we talk about somebody having a moral compass, we indicate that these are individuals who have that balance with respect to those things, and they're moving in a right and predictable direction. Now, narcissists, when it comes to their understanding of morality, tend to be on one extreme or the other with respect to their understanding of what that means. First, you have some narcissists in their attitude of superiority who've decided, well, good thing you have me here because I'm the one who's going to tell everybody what's moral, and I'm going to be the moral police, and I'm going to explain what's right and what's wrong, and I'll just make sure that you know how you're supposed to live. And these individuals have an overly developed understanding of rules and regulations to the extent that they can be unbending and very judgmental. They are the moral police, if you will. The net result is they emphasize things like duty and obligation or even robotic kinds of behaviors just to prove that you're doing the right thing. And with these narcissists, their understanding of morality is anchored in the necessity of conformity. Now you have the other extreme where rebellion is the name of the game. There's some narcissists that's like, you know what? Nobody's going to tell me what to do. You are not going to put any kind of imposition upon me, to the extent that they go very far to the other extreme and they have an undertow of anger and agitation. They're non-cooperative in general. They take great pride in being the non-conformist to the extent that they, being a team member just is not in their vocabulary. And these individuals are typified by their defiance toward other individuals. And then you have some individuals, believe it or not, who can actually display a combination of both. Sometimes they come on super moral to the extent of being the moral police, but other times behind the scenes they have their hidden kind of things. And go figure they're trying to play both sides of the fence, and it doesn't work out very well. It's important to understand that whichever extreme that narcissist is coming from, it's tied to a sense of shame. Obviously, the ones who are the moralistic kind of, let me tell you what to do people are placing shame upon other individuals to the extent that it's exaggerated. Whereas others, the defiant, rebellious type, they're thinking, I have been shamed so many times and I've been told so many times that I don't fit in, that I can't stand it. And they're running away from any kind of pronouncements of it. Either way, it's not a good way to react to that topic of shame. They don't have a good sense of balance with respect to that. Basically, the narcissist's understanding of morality, regardless of which extreme they're on, is anchored in a very strong us versus them mentality. And it's like you're either on my team or you're not. And the others is like, well, I never wanted to be on your team in the first place. And so there's very much an adversarial element that goes along with their application of morality. And as a result, neither side or neither extreme tends to have a good ability to know how to appreciate differences or to negotiate the humanity that they see in front of them. They don't appreciate how to understand nuances very well with one another. Basically, when we're talking about narcissists who struggle to come to terms with their morality, we're talking about individuals who are stuck in childlike pre-adolescent thinking. You know, when you were a kid, 8 years old, and you got mad at your sister, someone would come along and say, you're not supposed to hit your sister. Okay, that's the morality kind of thing. It's like, okay, I guess I can't do that. And then later on, as they age, nobody ever really talks about why the rule is in place. It's just like you're just supposed to do it. And so that's what I mean when I say there can be this just do it because you're supposed to pre-adolescent kind of thinking that they're stuck in. And of course, you can see that that's not a very good way to motivate anyone. Supposed to, must, and have to tends to wear thin pretty quickly. Now, interestingly, lost on the narcissist is any appreciation for the why of morality. Why does it matter if we have standards or principles? And neither one of them, either extreme, has any particular pensive or analytical thinking toward that topic. But let's recognize for morality to have a real sense of decency and goodness and authenticity, there are basically two ingredients that we need to come to terms with that will help us find that middle ground where it's a good thing. First, morality needs to be based upon a sense of empathy. When you realize that you have your thoughts and your preferences, your feelings, hopefully you'll understand, well, other people have theirs too. And so it's not just about me. I want to know who these other individuals are, what their feelings and what their needs are. And as we engage with one another, let's do so in such a way where there's an appreciation for the differences and the nuances we bring. And then the second, on top of empathy, the second ingredient that's a part of narcissism, is a part of good morality, and this is implied in everything I'm saying, is just having a sense of community. The bottom line is we are going to be interacting with each other. How can we create an atmosphere where we have a healthy understanding of what it means to be us? And having a good sense of morality implies that you have a real good balance between principles and freedom, the privilege to choose while at the same time having good ideas. And there's actually one characteristic that if you had to zero in on is the best characteristic that can lead a person to a balanced understanding of morality, and that's the characteristic of conscientiousness. That's a very rich word. And when we talk about conscientiousness, we talk about having an appreciation for who you are and what you stand for, while also showing a courtesy or an appreciation for the needs of other individuals. Now, contrast all of that with some of the foundational core ingredients of narcissism, and you'll see why they have such difficulty coming to terms with a balanced sense of morality. With the narcissist, it's all about me. Whether they're on the rigid extreme or on the rebellious extreme, it's all about me. Likewise, with the narcissist, if you differ from me, I can't deal with you. And so they can be very dismissive, black and white, all or nothing. In addition, with narcissists, manipulation is part of the defining feature. Whether you're on the moral police side or the rebellious side, either way, manipulations are common. And then you can see also that narcissists have a strong judgmental mindset, and one is offering the judgment, the other is running away from judgment. Likewise, narcissists are known for living behind the cover of their false self. They can either keep secrets or they can try to pretend that they're somebody that they're not. And you can see that narcissism and morality tend to be a bad mix because the ingredients that they bring to the topic can run counter to the sense of healthiness that goes along with that. Now, in order to have a working or a viable moral compass, there are certain things that we want to try to keep in mind as we move forward with one another. First, let's just start by saying, as we approach the topic of morality, let's have a certain amount of open-mindedness, a willing to consider nuances or simple differences. There can be family differences or cultural differences. Not everyone is going to think or process the same. And as we try to figure out where our moral compass is taking us, let's take those kinds of differences into account, and open-mindedness. In addition, as we try to have a good sense of a moral compass, let's understand what it means to have something like obedience or conformity. See, those words don't imply just shut up and do the right thing. But basically, when we talk about having an obedience or a sense of conformity, we are going to have, let's have an appreciation for group dynamics. There are just certain things that go better when we all have at least some sort of similar game plan that we're going with. Now, having said that, we're also going to say another thing that allows us to have balance is let's appreciate a certain amount of fluidity that goes into our understanding of morality. Now, some of that moral police kind of folks are thinking, oh no, you're just a moral relativist, huh? Well, let's think about this. Going back several decades, we may have had different opinions about tobacco or alcohol use. And now, many years later, people can have different ideas about that, or things like interracial marriage, or something like tattoos, for example, or the way that we manage ourselves socially. For example, the way we dress. Well, it's a little bit different now in this day and age than it was in the 1950s. I mean, there are all sorts of adjustments that can occur. Let's appreciate that morality can have a certain amount of fluidity within a certain parameter. And then ultimately, let's recognize that your understanding of morality is much more than just declaring right from wrong. For morality to be a healthy, positive ingredient in your personality, you want to understand, yes, I know what principles and standards guide me, but then the real question is, how might those principles and standards help me be a more loving person? To me, that's the ultimate determinant that I'm going to focus on that tells us how we can have morality. Either extreme of that moral code, the moral police or the rebellion, they don't really appreciate the centrality of love. One of the most difficult challenges that any person can have is to ask, how might I be most appropriately correct? Some individuals just don't know how to be correct, and they chafe at other individuals who think differently. In order to have healthy morality, we need to have maturity, we need to have contemplation. Both of those ingredients tend to be absent with the narcissist, which is why that poses a problem for them as they figure out what their moral compass is. But I'm hoping you and I can say, well, I think I've got a pretty good balance in that, and I'm going to stay with a mindset that's good for both me and the people in front of me. I think it can be done with a sense of authenticity and free choice. Now, I hope this gives you some good insight and awareness about what you're dealing with. If you've not already hit the subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. As you watch the videos on a cumulative basis, I hope it gives you an education about what you're dealing with. Some of you, I know, as you're trying to sift all this through, could use some help with therapy. I'm a therapist myself. I'm retired, but I'm a huge proponent of it. You know, I've been sponsored for years by the people at BetterHelp.com. There's a link below that will take you to their website. It's an online therapy resource. It's affordable. It's accessible. And since the pandemic, we found that it can be very effective in the way that you engage with that therapist. There's a whole team of therapists waiting for you. So if you have the need, please go through the link and get the help that you would so richly deserve. In addition, I have my therapeutic courses. It's like signing up for an online class. Each course has multiple videos, like 25 or more, with written documents, guided questions. They're very extensive. It would require a lot of work, but I've received good feedback from that. We have Ready, Set, Connect about how to make healthy connections. This is me about establishing your boundaries, free to be, finding yourself despite those controllers. We also have my webinars, which are of a different nature. And then we have my podcast. We have articles on our website and my books that are there, plenty of resources. Okay, morality simply means that we want to have an understanding and appreciation of right and wrong. But morality tends to go askew when it's not undergirded with an understanding and appreciation for love and connection. I'm hoping you can have a real good appreciation for the balance that's required. And in the process, it allows you to be a person of steadiness. And eventually you can move toward your place of being both a creator and a recipient of peace.